overthrow of the Shah of Iran, Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, the Chinese invasion of North Vietnam, the death of Tito of Yugoslavia, Mount St. Helens eruption, the abdication of the Queen of Holland, the death of Indira Gandhi, the Iran hostage crisis, and the terrorist attack on the Iranian embassy in London. And Wendell Stevens and two other men have witnessed it and signed off on it, and those events occurred after their possession.
That's impressive.
Not too shabby.
That's really impressive if the document time is authentic.
Wendell still has the document.
Yeah, I've got respect for Wendell, so
okay, I mean...
this is pretty good.
Okay,
pretty good.
We're moving up. In 1978, Meier writes that a comet would be discovered in the late 80s or early 90s. It would be named Tutatis, and that it would come close, possibly threatening the Earth, in September of 2004. In 1989, French astronomers discovered this comet, or as some call it, an asteroid, and they named it Tutatis. It's predicted to come closest to Earth September 29th, 2004.
That's pretty impressive. I would say that is pretty impressive.
Meier, in November of 1996, Meier stated that there's two small planetary bodies outside of Pluto's orbit. He calls them Trans-Pluto and Uni, says they'll be discovered soon. October 7th, 2002, BBC reports that scientists have discovered a new planet beyond Pluto. In 1981, Meier discussed information with one of the ETs concerning the 29 actual moons of Saturn. At the time he's discussing this information, he's only aware of about 12 of them. He's informed that there are actually more, maybe 15 or 16, but that the total number is, in actuality, 29. November of 2000, scientists announced the discovery of 12 more moons, bringing the total number to 28. We're now just one shy of what he was told. In February 28th of 1987, in what are known as the Enoch or Hanok prophecies, Meier is forewarned of the destruction of the World Trade Center by terrorism and a bunch of other things. And this is where we start to get to the meat of the matter.
Well, count me as impressed, if all of that is true.
Well, here, I'm going to jump for a second. We'll come back. But, Art, I think you may still have the book, And Yet They Fly. On pages 347 and 348 of that book are 6 specific prophetic or predicted events by Meier, which have all come true. So what I'm going to tell you is what those events were.
Yes, please.
Okay. I put them in front of me here, and I do have them. Okay. Meier predicted the following. You can find this. Some of it's, a little cryptic, but some of it's very direct. The strike or the attack by the U.S. and its president, meaning Iraq. Meier had said, on a broader scale, expect a strike by the USA and its, expect a strike involving the USA and its president that will stun the entire world. Now, when we attacked Iraq, do you remember what that attack was called?
Which one?
This last attack on Iraq, when the war started. Let me not play, guessing games. It's called shock and awe.
Shock and awe, and then Desert Storm.
That's right. Yeah. If you look up the synonym for shock, you get stun, and if you look up stun, you get shock. So Meier threw the word in there in 1995. And then right after that, he correctly predicted the following upsurge in unrest and violence from Islamic fundamentalists. And while he said the obvious that AIDS was going to be spreading, he also said that mad cow disease would then spread to other animals and humans in increasing numbers. There would be a new disease and epidemic appearing, as SARS did. And he warned that there would be a renewed threat and concern over chemical warfare, which is, of course, now more in the news than ever. We can't even find the weapons of mass destruction. But then, for those people that still think, well, he could have meant this or he could have meant that, he said, look, prophecies are alterable, so let me tell you the following. There is the chance of an accident at the nuclear power plant near Lyon, France, one of 436 nuclear power plants in 1995. On August 12th of 2003, the power plant near Lyon, France, had an emergency situation, and they did manage to shut it down. Now, that's pretty good stuff for a guy 8 years before the events.
I agree. But all rests on when these documents really were in somebody's hands.
Sure. Well, they were in your hands before your hands, Art Bell.
That's true. It is true.
Yeah. And I downloaded the predictions from the internet in 1998, but they're in that book with a published date of 2001, and each of these things happened after that date. For those people that want to argue about hubcap photos and that they can duplicate this and duplicate that, can you figure out how he hoaxed that? And let me jump to one more thing. People have said, he must be a good guesser. And so they're figuring that, well, he must have a whole bunch of...
a good guesser?
Yeah, he's lucky. And I said, the funny thing about this, if Meier was faking it somehow, or he was a good guesser, you'd have to have literally hundreds of erroneous, wild, 10,000 monkeys at a typewriter situation here.
Sure.
You don't. And you can prove it because the books have been published and they've been in existence for years. We've got the copyrighted books. We have the documents. It's all in the DVD. And this is where I'm going to tell people later on, you want to make a change in this world? When you start finding out what these people are warning us about here, if you're moved to participate, then learn about it and then at least contact. Look, Art Bell, you reach a world of people. There's people during daytime that are talking on radio and TV in little towns and cities and big cities all over the country and all over the world that know nothing about this. And yet, if only they did, if only they would look at it and bring it to attention of other people, we might be able to awaken this world in a quantum way almost overnight.
All right. Hold it right there, Michael. Well, we have heard a lot of what seems to be extremely strong evidence regarding the validity of the physical evidence, including now the prophecy that came true. When we get back, we'll begin to talk about what Billy Meier actually was told. There were warnings given to Billy Meier for us. I think anybody listening to the last 2 hours objectively has to be a little bit impressed. Really does. Certainly I am. I think the evidence is pretty good. So now a big question, having accepted, at least for the sake of this discussion, the first 2 hours of presented evidence, let's now talk to the message that Billy Meier was given. I think that's very important, Michael, but you have to lay that groundwork first or nobody's going to pay much attention to the message itself.
I agree.
So what is it? Is it the Pleiarans? Is that...
Pleiaran, yeah, they actually called, they keep correcting us. They're simply called the Pleiaran, as in like the Pleiaran people without an... It's not going to kill it to say the Pleiarans. I was calling them the Pleiarans, and I got a letter from one of the people in Switzerland. Well, technically it's the Pleiaran. Okay, fine.
All right.
Whatever. But what I wanted to say about this, because we're going to lay out the stuff that you're just, kind of announcing. Prophecy and prediction are two separate things by definition here. And prophecy, as far as they're concerned, relates, or refers rather, to events, negative events, because usually you don't have to be warned about positive things, but negative events that will occur if we don't alter thoughts, actions.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And both, and predictions are those things which are already set in stone, and they may often have what you might call a cosmic origin. It simply means like a comet or, an asteroid coming through or some kind of thing that's greater. But prophecies can turn to predictions if they've passed the point of no return. Both prophecies and predictions, as everything else in life, operates on the principles of the laws of cause and effect. There's nothing mystical here. It's, when we speak about prophecies, we're speaking about...
well, there are mystical things in prophecy.
Maybe, but in this case, what I'm trying to delineate is, on Earth we've got weathermen and scientists and people that forecast sporting events and financial trends. We're used to the idea of people taking information and projecting outcomes.
Yes, well, our weathermen are a lot like prophets, and sometimes events coincide to make it not come true.
Yes.
Anyway, listen, there's a message. I want to get to that
now. There
is,
and we get to... The unique thing here as we get to this message, because it's a little heavy, and I want to set this up properly. I don't want to just scare people. I mean, heck, we get to do something about it this time, and there's a plan that if people want to make Billy Meier wrong, let's make the Pleiaran wrong. I'm all for it. Let's prove that this does not have to occur.
All right.
So what we're talking about here, we've come to something that's called the Enoch prophecies, or Hanok